Games Workshop CEO confirms more product sellouts in the future.
Spiky Bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Rob Bear from SpikyBits.com. And in this video, we're going to take a look at some Games Workshop production numbers to see if they are making enough to meet demand or if perhaps the FOMO is real and done on purpose. Now, here is the article that we did that actually puts out a lot of meat and potatoes numbers on what Games Workshop produces, the things that they've said, and kind of summarizes the most recent woes, so to speak, for hobbyists, I guess, in general, here in 2024. And I'm sure, it kind of harkens back to about 2 years ago as well, when The Lion came out and nobody could get a hold of that too. So I think kind of the combination of all these things together really gives us a good idea of production numbers and if, the intent, or I guess the implied intent, because nobody really knows for sure, right? I mean, this could all just be a huge coincidence, I suppose, from Games Workshop overall. So in their 2023 financial report, which came out about this time last year in June of, or I guess July of 2023, the Games Workshop CEO basically revealed their strategy and said it wouldn't change anytime soon, alluded to the fact that maybe they're going to try to open a fourth factory, maybe. They're all in the UK right now. They used to have one here in America, but then they just turned it into a distribution point, which, could obviously help with demand. So I think that that might be a good idea. But some of the other stuff they said was a little intriguing too. So here's the statement that you can see. They basically said, hey, our online sales increased, and which would, I guess that just means from their web store in general. But also, to be fair to our 6,500 trade partners, and to ensure our stock allocation is appropriate, we don't carry high quantities of new release products in our own online store. So it will nearly always sell out, which is interesting. One, because what is a trade partner? Is it somebody with a bestsellers rack? That little thin GW rack that's about the size of my desk and about as tall as me that you see at some stores that just kind of has the random assortment of bestsellers, right? And, they might sell it to a store every now and then, once a month, and maybe less, and kind of fill it up? Or is that, your local game store that has a whole aisle or more of Games Workshop product? It's really kind of hard to tell at this point. They also mentioned their actual game store numbers themselves, which I think is right here in this statement, where it says, in this period, we opened, including relocation, 16 stores after closing 8 stores. Our total number of stores at the end of the period is 526, and that's worldwide. Here in the States, it's about 100. Which also curiously is the number of Hobbytown stores, which is also basically another chain store for the hobby. So it's an interesting parallel, actually. So then we can start to do some maths. I love the maths. We can start to figure out some maths. So they are basically saying that they have to sell product to roughly 7,000 stores, new release product to roughly 7,000 stores, 6,500 trade partners, 500 of their own stores, roughly. Then we noticed that when The Lion did come out, and remember that was 9th edition 40K, they were allocated basically 2 per store. So you can do a little bit of math there. You can say, hey, 2 per store, 7,000 times 2, that's roughly 14,000 Lion box sets, with the retinue, produced worldwide. They also sent 2 to each influencer so they could have time to assemble it and maybe paint it and then, take a video of it, which seems to be the standard thing now. Every influencer that they give stuff to gets 2 copies, and they have a chance to paint them up, put them together, do whatever. And then when it rolls out eventually, like a month later or what have you, they have it all ready to go. So that's another interesting look. So we're talking 14,000 or something. Now, back in 2020, we were able to see that Games Workshop brought in 4,000 of the Eldar codex. And this is just a quick number I grabbed from one of the import websites just to kind of see, a standardization. So if you figure Eldar coming into the States is roughly 50%, but as States, I really mean North America overall, is roughly 50% of Games Workshop's overall sales, right? So if they brought in 4,000 for North America of Craftworld's Codex for 9th edition, you could probably say that worldwide, the production run was maybe 10,000 initially, maybe 12,000. We'll just go with 10,000 because, that keeps numbers pretty accurate, right? So judging by that, you could say that maybe a Space Marine release especially one, for a Codex book, is at least twice as popular at Eldar. So I'd be looking at 20,000 Space Marine books. And I have seen that come through actually just to North America alone back in 2020 as well. I don't have that graphic for you, but that was the number that they were bringing through back then. Now, 4 years later, there's a lot more demand for Games Workshop products in general. Now, knowing what we know, and hey, if you know that Space Marines are at least twice as popular and that you had to bring in that many Codex books for something, you could probably say that you sell more models than Codex books, I guess, at this time and date, right? Not everybody buys the Codex book. I mean, a lot of people do because you got the digital codexes and things, but not as many people do. I would say you sell more models. But, that being said, even at, hey, you need 20,000 of these, a new release, and you only bring in 14,000 of the Lion. And the reason I'm using Lion, yes, it's Dark Angels. Space Marines are bigger than Dark Angels, but in 9th edition, you could play the Lion in any Space Marine army. So in theory, you would need just as many, if not more, the Lion models, being a new release, being a Primarch, than you would Space Marine codexes, right? That just makes sense to me in my mind. Definitely comment and say if I'm way off topic here. These are just like natural assumptions I'm making numbers wise. So right there, we already know there wasn't enough Lions made. If you're saying a minimum is 20,000 and they made 14, we already know that seems low. Take it at face value. That seems like a low number to me, right? But it is what it is right there. So fast forward, remember that was 2 per store. We're talking 7,000 accounts that they said, 14,000. That's easy math for everybody. We fast forward to now. All these battle forces that came out in 2024 that everybody wanted. Chaos Battle Force, Custodes Battle Force, Orc Battle Force had a damn Stampa in it. How cool is that? Stampa, super fun. I'm putting a lot of them together over the years as a super fun kit. If you don't have it, you play Orcs, you got to get one. They're a great kit. All of these sold out. All of these were allocated to stores from every store I pulled and talked to. The Chaos one, that was the last straw for a lot of stores. I got so many phone calls when the allocation sheet went out from stores, distributors, everybody. They're like, man, I don't know what to say. Like, I can't keep doing this. They can't keep doing this to me. Like, there has been no good Games Workshop releases for stores to actually make money on, which is what stores need to survive, to continue to provide you that play area, at least here in the States. I know clubs are a little different overseas, but they're hurting. The economy's bad. They need some wins. They haven't gotten them. And all Chaos Battle Forces, I heard from basic stores, very small stores, they had 10 of each sold. I heard from larger distros, 60 to 100 sold of these things. And they got 2. They got 2 each. I talked to one of the biggest distributors, one of the biggest sellers rather, not distributor. I did talk to some distributors of stuff in America. And this person, they're always super chipper about everything, super chipper. It's hard to get anything out of them. And I finally got something out of him. He was like, man, he's like, this has been pretty challenging this year. I'm not sure, but I think at the end of the year, we're going to be down on Games Workshop sales. And for hearing that from that account, that person, that means a lot. That means that's huge, because this person is usually super pro GW, super all about like, oh, it's not that bad, blah, 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 blah. But to hear them say that they're going to actually be down in Games Workshop sales this year for the first time ever was really huge. And I think that's a huge tell. So we know that, to bring a new release in, to give 2 of these to every store, any of these battle forces that were completely sold out and completely allocated, they made at least 14,000, not accounting for what they sell in their web store. No, we don't have any knowledge of that, right? They're just accounting for their stores and their trade partners, as they call them. If they already knew that 14,000 wasn't enough and still just giving 2 to each store for all these battle forces, it kind of seems like either the wrong person is doing Games Workshop's forecasting, or perhaps you could make the educated, I guess, logical conclusion that they are purposely not making enough of these products to either incite FOMO, which I guess, but there isn't an alternative to buy. Like, if there's FOMO and you miss out, then to me, and please comment with how you feel about this, because to me, if I've got my mind set on that Chaos Battle Force right there, I've got my $230 ready to go to buy this damn thing, and I can't buy this thing, and I know I'm never gonna see it again. Yeah, I'll buy the little jump pack dude when he comes out, like later on separately, but I might not need the rest of the stuff out of there. But if I've got my mind made up that I'm gonna spend this $230 or $240 now with price increases on this particular item, I'm gonna spend that money. I'm gonna spend that money on something that makes me happy. It might not be this Battle Force now. It might be something else from Games Workshop, but chances are I'm gonna be upset. Well, me knowing how I am, if I can't get what I want because of some bullshit, I'm gonna buy what makes me happy. And it's probably not gonna be buying from the thing that made me upset. Like, maybe I'll buy some magic cards. Maybe I'll buy, I don't know, something, a figure, an action figure, something that makes me happy because I've allocated that money in my mind to buy this thing. And I'm not gonna be happy till I either get the thing or I get something instead of the thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's just how I feel. Maybe it's not how you feel, maybe it's not how you purchase. But to me, it seems like to not create enough doesn't really do anything but hurt you as a company. And if it's not on purpose and there isn't some plan in place at Games Workshop for, oh, we're only gonna make this many, so they know to jump on to get the next thing. Like, if you do it 4 times in a row to folks, there's probably not gonna be any budget left in their pockets. Or there might not be a next time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think anybody's quitting the hobby over this. I think that a lot of folks might just be like, well, I'm just gonna work on what I need for my army instead of this FOMO thing, and I'll get the little dude when it comes out. But that's, to me, it seems like that's just money Games Workshop lost through FOMO. Because if you know that for the 2 of everything that every store always sells, why not just ratchet it up like 1.5? Like, make 20,000. So then people have a better chance to get the thing. Make double. Make double. I mean, I'm not a numberologist, but I could tell you the stores I talked to were like, yo, I could have sold 10. And bigger accounts were like, yo, I could have sold 20 of these things. And they got 2. So like, I feel like you could almost make double as Games Workshop and create, just keep everybody happy. But that being said, there's been some duds, right? The Kroot Army box didn't do well at all. They had it on their site for 2 weeks. The Dracoth box, Army box, still on Games Workshop's site, 2 weeks old. So there are things that come out that are not obviously super popular with hobbyists and maybe not resonate as much. But I feel like when it comes to 40K main faction stuff, that's always going to be a hit with some sort of hobbyist. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my ideas there. I mean, we can definitely see that these numbers make sense. I mean, at least to me. Definitely comment how you feel about it. The big question is, why do they produce so little, and how much money did they actually leave on the table? You probably don't care about that, but I kind of care about it. Like, how much money did they actually leave on the table? And perhaps this is the biggest question of them all. Does Games Workshop in 2024 need to sell miniatures to be profitable? And the question, the answer, the question is valid. The answer might actually surprise all of us, because they have a lot more licensing agreements, as we saw with the Skulls preview for video games. They have a ton of video game, agreements coming out. They've got licensees for pretty much everything from display cases, acrylic cases from Wicked Brick, to plushies from Tomy, which is a major manufacturer. And the rumor is that to get a license from Games Workshop for any of their IPs, plus Joy Toy, right? That's $1 million. So like right off the bat, whatever you want to do, it's at least $1 million. So if you figure, when you look at how many licensees they have, and I think they had 14 last year, it was down from 16. I would have to fact check that though, but that's just gut math. I mean, that's just $14 million in the bank, not counting any additional agreements. Like, hey, we get this many points if you sell this many units. Like, I don't have that information, if that's even a thing, how they operate. I would figure with video games, it'd be kind of stupid to license Creative Assembly to do Total War for only $1 million. That seems like you would lose out on a lot of money. But hey, here's the license for $1 million, renewable every year, but you give us this many points on selling this many units. That seems a lot smarter, and that could generate a lot more revenue, I would think, for them. But That being said, does any of that matter to you and me? I don't give a fuck about any of that. I want miniatures. That's what Games Workshop is to a lot of people. And I feel like if they lose sight of that, they're gonna lose sight as a company, perhaps their customer base, I guess. They're gonna lose sight of the customer base. Now, will the company survive? Will the company make money? Probably. But at the end of the day, I think this hobby is changing, and it's smart for them to do this, because with the advent of 3D printing and the fact that people can get miniatures that are previewed to market, i.e., illegal downloads of 1-for-1 copies of STLs, when they can get that to market quicker than Games Workshop can get to theirs, I feel like their business model doesn't have the longevity it used to have back in the day. So while I don't like the way they're doing business, I feel like me as an opinion, as Rod Bear, this might be the way that they have to pivot to actually survive. Does it feel good? No. Is it gonna help out game stores? No. Is it gonna help out miniature hobbyists? No. It's gonna help out Games Workshop. And I think that's what's so frustrating about it the most. So that's it, rant off. I don't even know how long I've been talking for, but I think I hit all my major points there. Please comment with what you think about the production runs of Games Workshops, these numbers I just presented to you, where they're going with, everything, the direction of the company overall, and if you have started spending your money on other things than miniatures. So that's it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications to be the very first to like and comment on all our videos.